as we get into this Thursday evening live, about 1 hour and 8 minutes until the daily close. We've had a bit of a bloodbath here this evening, not just in cryptocurrency, as a lot of crypto has turned back down. Nothing major in crypto. It has come down a good 50% of the gain that we had earlier on most things, maybe a little bit more. Some have completely wiped them out. XRP is at a loss right now. Maintaining inside of the descending wedge, however. So this pattern is still very much in play. Nothing's changed in the last couple of days. The only question is does it break out of here like with XDC? Does XDC break out? Does XRP break out? XDC still on this top, still on top here, which would suggest that it has a possible viability to break out here. Nothing's changed. I mean, we've literally come down here all day. XRP's maintained within this flush zone, and the descending wedge came down to support like we anticipated earlier. Now the question is can we hold this and break bullish? This pattern suggests that the selling pressure, at least in this area, could be drying up. But we came in on a downtrend, a slight push up, and this could very well be a bearish consolidation. So that's just something we have to be aware of and see if we can break out of this or if we continue to just transfer our way down. You'll notice something different with the comments. You have to be subscribed to my channel to comment, otherwise it's not going to let you. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, well, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. But I'm trying to rid some of the spam, and it gets quite annoying. So that's what I'm doing from now on. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, you're not going to be able to comment. I don't think it's much to ask for you. It's free. If you enjoy my content, you know, it's a good thing. It goes both ways. So you'll see a lot less commenting, I'm sure, in the comments. Gold, silver, metals lost $3.2 trillion today in market cap. Gold was down 3.2% to 4,921. B2 gold was down better than 10.8% on the day, shedding 61 cents per share. Silver was down 10.73% on the day, better than $9 an ounce to end the week at $75.22. First Majestic was down it was down $2.22 to $21.59, down 9.32%. Fortuna was down 8.94% to $10.39. The XRP Canary ETF was down 2.25%, and then some of these other ones were pretty flat. XRPN was down 0.2%. XRPNW was up 2.75% to 75 cents roughly, and XRPNU was down 1.31% to $10.51. Algo is just about up 2%. We've got Bitcoin down about 1.4%, down about just under $1,000 right now on the day to 66,130. It went down to about 65,300 earlier. Tapped again the support structure pretty close. We came right down to the designated liquidity drawdown box that as long as you stay in there, you're fine. But once you break it, it's going to be a quick flush. Back down to 59 and possibly worse. So we're in a very dangerous area here, no doubt. XRP is facing a similar fate here, being inside that descending wedge. And if it doesn't break out of it, then all of a sudden we have to open up the door back to that inevitable 86 cents. But right now, still that overriding factor of that descending triangle that broke down at $1.56. And as long as we could break bullish out of what looks like a descending wedge, we could force ourselves back up there. Technically, a descending wedge until it breaks down is a bullish consolidation. That was when we had the inside track, but that simply doesn't make any sense anymore because of the way it's continued to consolidate. But we had both charts, but no reason to even sugarcoat it. So that's just the way it goes. We had the drawdown area. Bitcoin and XRP now have effectively went through our drawdown range. Bitcoin at a over 9% range. XRP at 5.25%, and they're both right down to the make it or break it zone. Where the 4-hourly stochastic is uncomfortable. I know it's a descending wedge, but still uncomfortable unless we break out. We literally have done about all we can do to try to hold this pattern without, breaking out or breaking down. So very, 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 very different outcomes could possibly be playing out here. But I would like to timestamp this. We'll talk more about XRP. We'll go through, we'll go hindsight, a little bit of the metals. Nothing's happened that we're not expecting here. I'm targeting $66, $53, and if those both break 38, I believe it is on silver. So a lot can still happen. But anyhow, good evening. 5:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, February 12th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. The comments are definitely easier to read now. I'm going to have to do this going forward. Areli, welcome in, and thank you so much, love, for being in here. I really appreciate your continued support. Poppy Lou, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Trading with J Ride, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge. Zeezer, welcome in. Crypto Cooter, thanks for being a very trusted mod in here in this community. Along with Carl and Crazy Pole, thank you all three of you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So Badge. Mark Caston as well. Adrian, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Creamy Goodness, good evening. Hello all, Bullish Wedge. 1 week false breakdown in my opinion to the end of the month. Oh, that would be interesting. Would be interesting if it plays out that long. Definitely could though. Definitely could. Martin, what's going on, brother? Knick Knack Paddywhack, good afternoon, evening, and welcome back. And yes, positive vibes indeed. Soon it may be time to accumulate silver if you aren't in already. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. We're getting there. We are certainly getting there with silver. We're really close to pushing this right shoulder down now. And I mean, if it does, it does. If not, maybe it is an inverse pattern, but I think it would do us a lot of good if this broke down. I just think there's overriding factors that are probably playing into that, but it's neither here nor there. Good afternoon, JG, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Greatly appreciate it. 1970 legend, welcome in. Our resident Buckeye from Ohio. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in Tom's Army for over 1 year. I greatly appreciate that, my good friend. So when we go through, we are looking for a few factors here. We're looking to see in a lot of different charts if we can hold this back test. Right now, H-bar is doing exactly what it needed to do. It came back and back tested. It came through a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's done exactly what it needs to do as of right now. We're looking pretty strong. As long as these hold, these are very bullish consolidations, and this should bring it up towards the 10-3 level. Like, that's the overwhelming factor we have right now in crypto and all of this stuff. V-Chain, same thing. It's pulled itself back down. If we just look at it like this, you can look at this little channel, but I really liked it like this, only because of what it formed. So, I mean, I think it's looking okay right now. I think we're looking okay right now. It's held on. Everything's held on so far. So, nothing's broke past this consolidation. Even XDC's looking phenomenal at this point. As long as it keeps this point intact, I mean, you're looking at a technical move that could get us upwards of 4.56 cents. These look like the first step to a 3-wave corrective, even if it's bearish, ABC. So I set it up like this just so you can kind of see it. But obviously you'd have to know what the Elliott wave is and things like that. Could be over some pay grade, which I understand. It's not the easiest thing in the world to understand. I'm anxious for it to get to 7 o'clock because we're really not going to do anything until the clock flips. Because right now would be considered a hold candle on most things. XLM had, remember, better than 7-8% up. And then it broke back down here to about a 1%. Came back down from 16.3 to a swing low of 15.4. Now it sits at about 15.6. This is the back test of a breakout of a descending wedge. A lot of the market is doing this. A lot of the market. A lot of it, actually. So, to me, this would be the opportunity if it holds. This would be your second chance to get in on this move. Now, is it going to hold? Well, you know, that's a good question. But as long as it's basing the ones that are inside of this descending wedge, they're in a bullish consolidation unless otherwise noted. If they break down with some volume. So that's where we're at right now. So we can't say up or down, but right now it would suggest that it's going to be a bullish continuation just based on the pattern in the back test. But, you know, sometimes it doesn't play out like that. Sometimes it doesn't play out like that. I'm very encouraged, though, that Bitcoin came down to that support structure because that's the bottom of the drawdown, and it filled it perfectly. Now, the question is, does it continue? And we won't know until we see how it reacts right about 66,800 range. So we got about, we got a few $100 more to go. What moved down in the only way it goes? Well, we'll see, Hendricks. The trend is down, but in this short-term consolidation, it suggests we've dried up the selling pressure a little bit, which means we might have to go up just a little bit more to find more sellers to push us through this floor. That's all it means. It doesn't mean we're going to flip bullish and it's just going to go to infinity. It just means where we're at right now, we've dried up the volume a little bit, the selling pressure. And all day, in all reality, all day the patterns have done exactly what they need to do. They really have. All damn day. They've done exactly what we wanted them to do if we're going to hold a bullish consolidation. They've done exactly. Even XRP drew down to the bottom support again to try to validate this movement. Actually, it's up a little bit farther. So not bad. I mean, it's holding us like a champ. 2 hourly got to clear out the stochastic, so it's back to oversold. It's all an illusion. Thanks for being in Tom's Arm for over 1 year at the I Told You So Badge along with the Cannabis Podcast. Fridge Running, good evening. Are others dominant and others / Bitcoin going to bust out soon, you think? Let's take a look at the others. That's an excellent question. Up about 1% on the day, or 1.61 billion to 169.039 billion. The others look like it. If you ask me, the others look like they're setting up in a similar fashion, which is a good sign. I mean, that's a great question. Let's just draw this out in the short term. And like the way I would do this is I think we had an overzealous sell-off here in the middle. So like you can look at it like that. You can look at it like in a little bit of a channel, honestly. It's probably what I would do. So I mean that looks like a bullish channel. They're falling. A falling channel here with a little bit of a flag. That looks like a bullish channel. So we'll get the validation if we get above 171.2 roughly. It looks like to me we're going to come up to that next layer and come retest up higher. Unless we get a sell-off, like I'm planning on this breaking out rather than breaking down. As far as what it's showing me on paper, I feel like it's going to break out and not down with the kind of consolidation it is. So, you know, yay or nay in the comments if you believe it's going to go up or down. Yay if you think it's going to go up, or nay if you think it's not going to. I mean, you can respond however you want, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. It'd be nice to hear what everybody's thinking or the rationale is. But that's where I'm at right now. Unless the market breaks down, I mean, there's no reason to stress the market. Now, it could very well break down. But as we noticed with like Algo, when it looked like it was breaking down, it actually formed a little bit of a channel there. And now it actually broke up and it back tested. So like, we could break down. We could, in fact, break down overall, but right now, the way it's setting up, I mean, it's suggesting that we should get continuation out of this. Thoughts on Ondo at these lows? Kind of hungry for some. Before having an event and broke its traditional 4-year cycle of viewing returns. Tom, thoughts on Ondo at these low levels? Well, I hope because we just teased my limit buys, but I refuse to change them if I miss out. No, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep those where you want, but this is just a momentary thing. This isn't, oh, this is going to change the entire trajectory of this entire. No, that's not what we're trying to say. We're just saying that there is this descending wedge, so basically maybe another 10 to 15% of meat on the bones. You know, as this continues to transpire to the higher side. Now it's tricky because we're almost at the close here. So it's definitely tricky. Like this looks like it could be a head and shoulders and then it would just come down here. Like I'd be more comfortable if V-Chain was sitting here if you're looking to buy. But it very well, I mean, it could reverse here. It's not impossible. We're massively oversold in the hourly. I could probably draw this up in a slightly different way to where it might make a little more sense to what's going on. Because you could definitely look at it like this and just say we started, you know, if you take this away, You could have just said we were doing something like that, which would have made sense. And now you can see why the back test happened where it did. So it's actually back testing right where it should. And this channel is suggesting, even if it only breaks the, the width of the channel, it's still giving us a pretty easy measurement. It's not a crazy one. But just even on this small channel breakout, you're looking at about 8.2 where we at right now. So, I mean, that's another 4 to 6% from even where it's at right now. But I think it would go over that. I think it's going to hunt the 200 day if we start rising up. I think it would have hunt in the 4 hourly. We're probably coming up here to that 9.5 cent or 0095, if I'm being honest. Stochastic cleared out a little bit, but obviously, if we had a little bit of a negative sell bear pressure, it could find its way a little bit farther down. But yeah, I'm happy. I like looking at everything throughout the day. I like what I'm seeing on the back test. George, welcome in, and thanks for being in Towns Arm for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. So I'm optimistic, as I've said the last few days. Cautiously optimistic, but my plan for this is for this to break out here and then later on come back down to these lower levels. Personally, that's what it looks like it's trying to do. Even with all of these back tests, like all these back tests have done it beautifully, which means that this should have some meat on the bone here. Like they all should. They should all have some legitimate meat on the bone. Now, if we break down, we break down. I'm not going to hold it against the market. It just didn't work out. But right now, in the real time, if you're basing it off the technicals are saying this is a buy. At least in the micro, just if you're, well, from a swing perspective. From a macro perspective, we're probably going lower. But from a micro, unless we break this pattern down that we were showing very, very clearly now, we could have a hot Thursday after 7 o'clock. It could get hot. And then Friday night, we'll figure it out. But it could get hot after the bell on Thursday. Like XRP could get hot on Thursday after 7 for this next candle. They all could, because these have been spectacular holds right now. Now, the one thing I don't like is the daily pulling back on some, but like Bitcoin, it's pushing up still. It looks fine. We've kind of changed the narrative of what we had earlier. We've been able to pull back now a little bit, which is fine. I mean, we've done a pretty damn good job holding and filling these back up a little bit. Yesterday, they were a lot more, or earlier today, the way they looked was a lot more bearish in nature because it hadn't come to that drawdown. This, however, still leaves a little bit of curiosity. We've got a few of them that pull down like this, which is inherently could reverse bearish, but if it makes a new high on the open, I mean, it could technically still hold this. And then if you look at XDC, it's very similar to VeChain. That's a big wick pull down, so, I'm definitely interested to see how it goes into the next candle closure. There's no doubt about that. So I'm very anxious to see how this candle closes and how the next one starts at 7 o'clock. I think it's going to give us a big clue. A big clue. Really, you think XDC is going to go a little higher? If it holds this back test at right around where it's at, 3.58, something like that. It would. Otherwise, we could be a little early in these holds. This might come back down to 343. Even if it's going to be bullish. That's where we're kind of stuck here right now. We're stuck in an area because we have no volume. See, the overriding problem here is the volume is an issue. Day after day, week after week, month after month right now, we've been running into this very low volume. And when you're trying to get into a transformational moment, when you're trying to break out, it's not good to always have this volume getting stuck in our way, with none. Ripple's David Schwartz warns Bitcoin may need quantum fork or collapse. Comments from David Schwartz, Chief Technology Officer at Ripple, have reignited debate over whether Bitcoin will need a major technical overhaul in the future to remain secure as quantum computing advances. In a recent online discussion, Schwartz argued that Bitcoin's long-term success has so far depended more on its established reputation and market trust than on continuous technological upgrades at the blockchain level. However, he noted that one technological shift may ultimately be unavoidable, adapting the network to withstand potential quantum computing threats. Schwartz said Bitcoin would likely need a fork to be quantum proof, warning that such a change could become necessary if advances in quantum computing eventually weaken today's cryptographic protections without that type of upgrade. He suggested the network could face serious long-term risk. Technology versus market dominance. The Ripple executive also said that Bitcoin's appeal does not rely heavily on adding new blockchain features. In his view, the network's primary role is to ensure that users can reliably hold and transfer the asset over time, a function already achievable with widely available blockchain technologies. As a result, incremental technical innovation alone may not significantly influence Bitcoin's long-term adoption or price performance. For 99% of what makes Bitcoin interesting, all the blockchain needs to be able to do is allow people to rely on being able to hold and transfer Bitcoin in the future. That doesn't require any technology that isn't available in every public blockchain out there, he said. A renewed debate over Bitcoin's future. Schwartz remarks come at a time when researchers and blockchain developers are increasingly discussing post-quantum cryptography, security systems designed to resist attacks from future quantum computers. While such threats are still considered distant, this discussion shows a broader industry question whether Bitcoin's traditionally cautious approach to upgrades could eventually require coordinated global changes to maintain network security. For now, the comments serve less as an immediate warning and more as a reminder that even the most established digital assets may one day face technological turning points driven by advances outside the crypto industry. So that was David Schwartz that said that. They should, Elmer, and thanks for being in Towns Aren't for over 1 year with your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, but they won't. Too much work. Mrs. Stott, thanks for being in Towns Aren't for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Listening in the background. Works for me. Works for me. Jacoby, welcome in, and thanks for being in Towns Aren't for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Analyst says XRP price could double if BlackRock files ETF application. I don't know about that. But let's see what they say. Jacoby, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. So institutional capital flows in the cryptocurrency market are beginning to show signs of diversification beyond Bitcoin, with some analysts highlighting growing attention toward XRP as investors reposition portfolios. Market speculation has intensified around the possibility that global asset manager BlackRock could eventually pursue an XRP exchange-traded fund ETF, a development analysts believe could significantly influence prices. Discussing recent market movement. I don't want to listen to this scumbag, Zach Rector. I already know that article's bullshit now because it attached to his name. No reason to even read it. Let's talk about the Community Day highlights. The XRP Community Day recap, the 7 most bullish takeaways. Ripple used XRP Community Day to tighten its message. XRP is not an accessory to the business. It's the organizing principle, and the company is positioning its product stack, regulatory posture, and institutional roadmap around that premise. So, XRP Community Day highlights. CEO Brad Garlinghouse went straight for the ceiling. There will be a $1 trillion crypto company. I don't doubt that for a second, he said. I think Ripple has the opportunity to be that company, and maybe there will be more than one. The framing matters because it's not a token price call, it's a scale argument about when or where regulated rails, liquidity, and enterprise distribution could concentrate as XRP plugs further into legacy finance. Policy was the second major pillar. Garlinghouse put odds on the table for U.S. legislation, predicting a 75% chance the Clarity Act will be very close to getting signed by the end of April. Garlinghouse also tried to reconcile market volatility with institutional appetite, pointing to ETF flow behavior during a rough tape. I believe in a multi-chain world. Even last week, when there was massive carnage going on in the market, there was positive XRP exchange-traded fund inflows of 30 to 40 million, he said. Public markets are keen to invest in crypto customers want. The compliance posture was framed less as defensive and more as a competitive moat by Garlinghouse. We want to be the most regulated compliant because we're focused on institutional flows. That is the priority, Garlinghouse said. The OCC charter makes it very clear that RLUSD is a leader under the Genius Act. It cements our leading position. And Ripple's telling regulatory credentials aren't a cost center. They're how you win mandates, counterparties, and distribution in the parts of the market that actually move size. He also hinted at some major progress on the Fed Master's account. Now there's been a lot of speculation about what we could do in the future, Garlinghouse said. There's been some commentary about a Fed Master account, which we do think is compelling. And there's things we may do in the future that I'm not going to go into today. He then anchored the point and trajectory rather than rumor. Conditional OCC approval and engagement, he said, represent massive progress relative to where we started the journey. On XRP itself, Garlinghouse delivered the cleanest thesis statement of the event. XRP is the North Star for Ripple. It's our purpose. He tied Ripple payment, Ripple Prime, Ripple Treasury custody, and RLUSD to a single objective: how we can drive utility trust liquidity around the XRP ledger. John London, welcome in, and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge. Maple Man, thanks for being in Town Zone for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Appreciate all of you. Losing my voice a little bit. Gonna have to end this live probably sooner than I wanted to. Been talking too much. President Monica Long expanded that into an execution roadmap. We're rewinding the tape back in the founding of the company, like XRP and the ledger are a reason for being, she said. So we call it our North Star. Like that, the strategy, or this strategy, or like this is kind of what guides us in a lot of our product strategy and decision making. From there, she outlined 3 institutional flavored pushes, bringing more licensed payment flow onto the XRP DEX, a payments credit concept that matches payment provider financing needs with XRP holders, seeking yield via a proposed lending protocol amendment, and growing custody demand as banks move past safekeeping and into tokenization of deposit funds and traditional securities. So XRP is roughly at $1.38. And these are the levels to watch. If we break down to the 0.786 fib level, it says it's right around $1. If we start pushing up to the 618, that's $1.57, which is where the descending triangle breakdown resistance is at right now, which we have failed to push up to there so far. We went to about $1.55, but we could not get above. So yeah, we're dealing with that. Could be a double top here, but we obviously have to break down a little bit more if this is going to be official. And then if we fell all the way to the 0.285, I mean, that puts you down to 29-cent area. But that, honestly, that's where we get that, okay, we broke back down, and then if you extend this, attach it, you can kind of see. I know how the 0.285 is, but if you kind of do a little bit of work on your own, which we will. So if you connect this, extend this down, kind of attach this here, you've got a little attachment here where we could very well, or it could create a pattern here where it comes across, and you got something like this, and if it breaks down, I mean, you could come all the way here and then push back up. You could fill this out. You could bounce, you know, see where we go. But right now, you got to make sure that that's on a double top. So we'll see what happens there. But there's a lot going on there. A lot going on here. HBAR has 71 billion total transactions since its launch in 20. Oh, I think HBAR is a diamond in the rough. Believe me. For as far as privacy tokens too, that's going to be one of the most sought after. And now at 9.2 cents, I mean, it's gone into a range where it's getting pretty cheap. Same thing with Algo. Algo was right around 9 cents. You know, we've got a lot of things already getting into those desirable, you know, where we have to see what we have to do. Oh, I see a massive head and shoulders too on XRP, along with many other things. It's massive. Shoulder, head, shoulder. That's how you get down into this pattern. Whether you can hold it or not, I don't know, but we definitely have a massive head and shoulders. It's not just XRP. We created the shoulder, right? Head. And now this should be it. That's a shoulder, probably. Shoulder, head, shoulder. I mean, if it pulls down, you have a whole reset that would bring you back. That would be 38 cents if it completely reset, or 45. Between 38 and 45 if it was a complete reset. So, it's just, you know, It's hard sometimes when you're watching stuff, right? And you see it playing out in real time, and then you don't want to always come on and be like, "Hey guys, I know we want this to go up a lot, but it is what it is." But eventually, we'll have that 10 days or 15 days where it's all worth it. And I always tell everybody, crypto does it quick. It takes about 10 to 15 days for the bull market to materialize. And then it's over. And then basically you become exit liquidity if you don't understand how to trade. Or you just sit on it until the next 10 to 15 days. But who knows, it could go down 90% until the next time. So, nobody said this game is going to be easy. And, it's meant to be this way. That's why 95% of retail loses money. That's how it goes in crypto. For every 100 of us that are going to trade, only 5 of us are going to come out ahead in one calendar year. Which is kind of spooky, but it makes sense. But, I don't know, anything else? Anybody else want to add anything? My voice is getting a little grimy. Done a lot of talking, a lot of lives, a lot of classes. Earlier I was on for over 2 hours. Yesterday I did 2 lives, a class. Today it's just been a lot of talking. I know you don't like this, but this is a short. Oh yeah, I'm I'm not a big fan of people shorting especially if they don't know what they're doing. But yeah, it very well could be a short right now. But you can't make that short while it's inside a descending wedge. You're going to be holding the bag. Cat. What happens if the left shoulder is lower or the right shoulder is lower than the left? Unless you're talking about a short live. But what happens if the right shoulder is low? Nothing. I don't put a lot of stock in it. It could just show that the bears are in firm control because we couldn't even get back up to the resistance of the right shoulder. Or it could just be one of those cases where you've gone up in such a fast fashion where, sometimes with a double top, you don't need shoulders. Like, even though I showed a shoulder, this very well could just be a double M topping reversal, and then you don't even need shoulder, head, shoulder. I can see it, though, if we round it. But I could also see where you have a top, 2 heads. You have a shoulder that formed to a head to a top.
Hi, Tommy.
But yeah, I'm going to call it a day because my son's out here. My voice is out of whack. So we're going to call it a day. I appreciate all of you. You want to come over here, bud? Yeah? So I'm going to end this. Appreciate all of you.